Good morning. I use StreamYard to stream, and they've added new background music, so I'm jamming to it right now. Hi to everyone who's here with me. We're talking about slow traveling today. Can you hear the music? Or is it just inherent music? Let me know in the comments. Can you hear this? It's kind of jammy. Good morning, Gershel, Tamika, the Big Auntie Energy Show. Good morning from Puerto Rico. Okay. Good morning, Mom and Winnie B. Adelia, congratulations, Winnie B. You're on your way to Panama. Junquette, Janice, hello. Am I the only one who hears this music? Tell me you hear it. No? I don't know. Girl, whatever. Today we're talking about slow traveling. I feel like slow traveling is what can fill a gap for some of you that want to move abroad. Slow traveling is the answer to a lot of the questions that you have, or a lot of the issues that you have when you're trying to plan your move. That's what we're going to talk about: how to slow travel, what to do, best practices, etc. This is going to be one of those. I'm more focused. This is going to be one of those everybody chips in sessions. So if you have good tips, ideas about slow traveling, if you have a YouTube channel where you talk about slow traveling, we're going to cover all of that stuff today. So hi, welcome. My name is Rashida Dow. I help Black women move abroad and take career breaks. I took my own career break in 2018 to 2019, in which I traveled. I did not slow travel. I went to 43 cities in 30-something countries in a year. I don't recommend that for multiple reasons. I don't recommend that. But since then, I've started to slow travel, and I really love it. I think it's a lifesaver. I think you guys would love it too. So let's go. Okay, the Big Auntie Energy, your 2025 is your discovery year, and you'll start in Mexico City. Yay. For anyone who doesn't know, I live in Mexico City. I talk about it a lot. I've been here since 2019. I love it here. I keep meaning to make a video. Oh, Jesus. I keep meaning to make a video on this channel about Mexico City now, like an updated video. And I think I'm going to do that over this holiday break. Okay. SJ Demand, I know you're trolling, but here's the thing. If you want to talk about feet on the internet, there are women you can pay to do that. In fact, for the right price, you might be able to pay me to do that. But we don't talk about feet for free, and we don't show feet for free on Al Gore's internet. So I'm going to ban you now because you are trying to get labor from Black women for free. And I think you were trying to be funny, but we don't do that. My earrings are from Johannesburg. Bracelet is from Durban a long time ago. All right. Okay, so now that the man who wanted to talk about feet is gone, let's talk about slow traveling. How y'all doing? Okay, which one of you guys? Ooh, Claude is leaving tomorrow, going to Panama and then Colombia. I'm going to Colombia tonight. Good morning, everybody. Okay, so slow traveling. Who here has questions about slow traveling? If so, drop them in the comments. Who here does slow travel? Drop that in the comments as well, because we are talking about it as a community today. It's one of those group projects. We're talking slow traveling. Okay. For those that don't know, slow traveling is when you go to a country where you don't live, another country, and you spend quite a bit of time there, either staying in one city for a month or months at a time, or traveling slowly through the country, maybe a couple weeks in one city, a couple weeks in another city, and kind of cruising through the country. What you want to do when you slow travel is maximize your time in a country. And when I was talking about how I think this can fill a gap for some people who are moving who are finding moving abroad difficult, there is a way to slow travel that kind of cuts out all of what can be long-term visa nonsense, right? So if you're like, I want to be, if you want to be in Thailand, but it's hard to get a visa for you for Thailand. Thailand's visas, like long-term visas, generally aren't that easy, in my memory serving me correctly, unless like you're going there to work. So like if you want to be in Thailand for a while, what a lot of people do is they'll go there for as long as a tourist visa will allow, and then go to another country. Maybe go to another country after that, and then back to Thailand. This isn't for everybody. And we're gonna talk about who it's for and who it's not for. But let's do it. Okay, so Stephanie says she slow travels, and Eve does as well. Great question. See, Austin, do you have issues of traveling in one way to get from country to country? Let's see. It's a great question. I'll get to that later. I've started so I can get to it later. Kat from Reroom Room says, I think I do. She's spending 2 months in San Miguel. Is that slow travel? Yes. And Kat is doing that in a really great way, which I'm going to actually add to my list. I need to think about this. That is inspiring something right now. Adelia is going to do some slow travel in the spring. Where you going, girl? You ain't told me nothing. Where you headed to? All right. Michelle says her version of slow traveling is having my spot in Bangkok and then slowly traveling extensively 1 month in Portugal and 1 month in Mexico so I can have an idea of where I want to go after Bangkok. Okay. All right. Okay. Big Auntie Energy. Love you, girl. What she's talking about, and this isn't, I'm using this as an example. This is not what she said she's doing, but this is not slow traveling. And this is what I did on my break. And so it wore me out. I'm gonna tell you right now, I was exhausted at the end of the year, doing like 3 weeks in one place, 1 week in another place, 1 week in another place, 3 weeks between 2 cities. Exhausted. And that's one of the reasons like I really want to talk about slow traveling, is it's really a way to get all the travel you want in, do it a little cheaper, and not wear yourself out. So this is a good example. Big Auntie Energy. I love this plan for you, but if you feel yourself getting tired, it's a good idea to slow down. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about why. So the why to slow travel for me is so that I can experience a country for a long period of time without having to like figure out what I want to see, like what I need to do to get a visa. Sorry, Big Auntie Energy Show distracted me. Girl, I need your name. I need a name. I feel like, but I get it. Okay, she said, I want to see so much. Yes, and that's how a lot of us get caught up. You want to see so much. I wanted to see so much in my career break, and about 6 months into it, I was like, if I have to pack my suitcase again and go to another place, I might as well go home. Hey, Shanice, I might as well go home because I'm tired. I sat down in Chiang Mai, Thailand for 3 months. And then I was like, okay, I really like this, right? Like I didn't move there. I stayed for a while and it was a really great experience. Anessa brings up another good point. It takes her nervous system a good week to adjust to a place, so she has to go slow. Yes. Shanna says she works remote and can be out of the country for 30 days at a time. Looking for places that have good Wi-Fi and visa process isn't a headache. For you, I would recommend going to a place where you can be on a tourist visa for 30 days, right? Especially if it's like a visa on arrival or like a visa that you don't even notice. Like when you come to Mexico, you get a visa on arrival. You get a tourist visa of FMM. You just go through immigration, someone stamps your passport, and that's it, and you're done, right? And so that's like that kind of situation is really great for slow travelers. If you don't have to organize a visa in advance if you can just show up in a place and be there for 30 days. And if you're traveling on an American passport, there are a lot of places you can stay for 30 days at a time on a visa. In fact, I'm going to drop a resource. Now I'm going to drop this, and I don't want y'all to go crazy. I love y'all. I mean it. Now I'm actually not going to drop it now. I'm going to drop it later. I know once I drop it, you're going to stop listening to me. And you're going to use it for the wrong reasons. But I'm going to drop it later. Okay. Adelia says in January 2020, she did 10 countries in 29 days. Was that your European tour? Or was Europe after 2020? I don't know. LH slow traveled in Barbados for 3 months, did not want to come back. Yes. Candace, this is a great question. I'm gonna put it to the side for later. Yes, Adelia's travel was through Europe. All right. Big Auntie Energy, we don't get to you. Okay, that question too. Shanice, I'm gonna get to your question. Okay, so why slow travel? It really is a good way to get adjusted to a place, see what it's like to live there, and not worry about a lot of the technicalities, right? A lot of slow traveling, you're gonna be in Airbnbs or maybe kind of like some other booking place that's not a hotel, right? Or you can stay in a hotel if you want to stay in a hotel for like 2 or 3 months, right? And what I want to do, but if it's what you want to do, that works for some people. I have to stop this music. It is really distracting me. I turned it down so I don't think you guys can hear it anymore, but like it's all I hear now. Ciao. Okay, we stop that. All right. StreamYard changed. If you use StreamYard changes. It's the platform I use to stream into the internet. They change something every week. Every week I come in here like, what y'all doing today? What's going on? Sometimes it's their pricing. Every week it changes something. Girl. All right. So where are good places to slow travel? We actually, this week in Exodus ASAP, which is a coaching program I host with Stephanie, I talked about places that might be right for the individuals in the program to move abroad. And one of the things that came up was slow traveling through different places, different areas. And one of the concerns that was brought up by a member in our community, a community member, was that she wants to slow travel, but she doesn't want to go to Southeast Asia. And that's where a lot of people start slow traveling because it can be less expensive than some other places. And she's like, so I feel like I have to go to Europe or Central America, and that might be more expensive. And we talked about how to slow travel less expensively in Europe. Some of that is like finding cities that have a low cost of living. There are places that have low cost of living in Europe. Going there and maybe spending a bulk of your time there and going to maybe places she wants to see that are more expensive for a shorter time, right? When I was in Europe, I spent 2 days in Switzerland. My budget for Switzerland was 2 days. That's it. I can afford 2 days here. And then I'm out, right? But I spent more time in other places. Like I spent more time in Prague. I spent more time in Croatia. Switzerland, 2 days. And then I'm gone. And so, okay. So the where is really up to you, but no matter where you want to go, even if it's an expensive region, there are ways to kind of adjust your budget. I like slow traveling by regions. So I like going to a place and not just, break this down a bit. When I slow travel, I want to slowly travel within the country. right? So maybe I go to 2 cities in the country and I spend a month in each city. And then I don't want to go to another continent. I want to go to a country next door. One, it's going to cut down on the expenses, right? Because outside of North America, and the problem in North America is America. But outside of North America, it's reasonably inexpensive to what we're used to get from one country to another. A lot of these countries are smaller, so it's not as big a distance traveling. There are less hurdles to jump through in some places. And a lot of them have really good, even if you're flying, like really good regional carriers that are inexpensive, right? A lot of our regions, like Europe, has their inexpensive carriers. It's like Ryanair, and everybody hates Ryanair. Asia has this Air Asia. I remember being super cheap to travel on to go from one country to the next. Outside of America, transportation is so much less expensive. When I was in Europe, I just took a bus from one country to the next. Like in a nice bus, 4 or 6 hours, and I'm in a new country, or a train. So easy. It's so easy to go from one place to a next, which is why I like traveling slowly in one country and then maybe going to another country next door, or another country close to it, and really using that to keep my expenses down. I'm not bouncing from one continent to the next, which really adds up prices. And in some places, and saves time. Honestly, if you're traveling really quickly, one of the things that bothered me the most is if I'm spending a week in a place. Say I check in on Sunday. I've left another place on Sunday. I'm traveling on Sunday, and I check in a new place. So Sunday's just a travel day, right? And if I'm checking out on the next Sunday, Sunday's another travel day. So every week I'm losing a day just to travel and pack and move. And you don't do that when you're slow traveling, right? There are less of those days of packing your things up, making sure you've done everything, cleaning the space however you need to clean the space before you get out of here, moving to a new place, taking a taxi to the blah, blah. Less of that will make your experience better. Okay, ooh, another great question. Good morning, KG from Oakland. Let's see. Okay. I'm guessing questions real quick. So that is my reason for slow traveling. It really makes things easier. It simplifies a lot of your life. I didn't say this earlier, but I might as well say it now. Over and over, I'm hearing from people that it's getting more complicated to move to countries they're thinking of, right? Like Portugal did away with their D7 visa, or golden visa, one of them, a couple years ago, right? Mexico gets more expensive every year. You have to have more money saved or earning every year because our cost of our minimum wage goes up every year, right? These countries aren't getting easier to move to. They're generally getting harder. And so, right, if you're slow traveling, if you're there on a tourist visa, these are probably things you don't have to worry about. There are some cons. We're going to get to those. Oh, please. But I want to answer some questions first. Sabbatical starts Monday, says Portugal broke her heart because the tax situation is so complex. She's pivoting to Mexico. Yes. Yes. All right. From C. Austin, do you have issues with traveling in one-way tickets from country to country? Generally, no. I've had an immigration officer ask me when I'm leaving. And if I tell them a date, I've never had a problem with that. I have had airline people. Apparently, if the airline puts you on a plane from Mexico to Colombia, like I'm doing today, and the Colombian people reject me from entering, the airline either has to, I don't know if they're responsible for flying me back or they actually get in trouble. I've heard both things. Like they get in trouble. What does that mean? Y'all not gonna get to fly to the country anymore? I don't think that's it, right? Like, I don't know. So they can be kind of particular about people traveling on one-way tickets or any kind of thing. The airlines have been more of a hassle to get through than like immigration, generally. Anytime an airline has been like, you can't get on this plane until we see your forward ticket, I buy a refundable ticket. Within the visa period that I'm allowed to be in the country, I buy a refundable ticket from that same airline, because if someone has to, there's always fees. Whenever you get a refund, whenever you ask for a refund, somebody's got to eat a fee. I buy it on my same airline. I sit on the plane. If it's a long flight, I'll cancel that ticket before I even take off. If it's a short flight, I might cancel it when I get to the new country. Generally, the minute I sit down, I'm canceling that ticket. If the country doesn't care, and I know I'm leaving ahead of time, mind your business. I think there's been once where I was like, you know what? I should just pick a date to leave the country. And I bought one-way. I bought a ticket leaving the country because I was like, I might as well just pick a date and go. Other than that, I buy a refundable ticket to the closest place, the cheapest one. Boom, bam, at the counter. Here it is. Or I'll be back in 3 minutes. Can I come right back to you? They're usually like, yes. I go buy the ticket. Boom, 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 and go. There are places where you can rent onward tickets. But when I buy a refundable fare, I get all that money back. When I rent the ticket, I don't get none of that money back, which is why I do refundable tickets. Refund me my money. Because why are you so concerned about what I'm doing? Now, there are lots of ways to get around it, but Disabled Diva does the same thing. Buy a refundable ticket at the ticket counter and cancel the ticket as soon as she gets to her seat. All the times I've flown into Mexico City, it's only been a problem once, and it was JetBlue. And JetBlue don't fly here anymore. That's what you get for bothering me. She was like, when are you coming back? And I was like, I can be here for 6 months. And she was like, we don't care. You need to have a return ticket or you're not getting on this flight. Sister, JetBlue about to lose like $40 on this transaction because I'm buying a JetBlue flight and canceling it the minute I sit down. We're taking off. Boom, boom, boom. Cancel. Stephanie says she had to buy a refundable ticket the last time she's flying into Costa Rica. Same with Indonesia. I think it's very few places I've had to buy refundable tickets. Disabled Diva Eve. Hi, Eve. Says they get a fine if they let you fly and the country won't let you in. I'd be like, what are we doing? Why are we? I've never had a country say, let me see your ticket. Also, I will say this. So usually if you have a round trip on the same airline, the airline can see your ticket. I have been in places where based on the passport you're carrying, they ask some people where their return ticket is and they don't ask other people. I have been in places where I'm like, I know you don't see a return ticket in my thingy, but you're asking him over here with a green passport. But I got a blue passport. You're not asking me? Okay, now that could just have been the person working the counter. But I don't think so. Okay, so Global Grinding says on American Airlines, the ticket does not have to be refundable. You have 24 hours to cancel it for free. I did that going to Colombia at the counter. And don't forget to fill out checking the check MIG document. Is that a document I need to do before I get to Colombia? Let me write that down. What kind of documents do I need for Colombia? I haven't been in 6 years. Check MIG ticket document. Okay. Thank you, girl. All right. So the thing about American Airlines, US, there's a law If you buy a ticket, an airline ticket in the US, you have 24 hours to cancel it, even if it's not refundable. I have had good experiences with this, like in other buying a ticket in other countries on American carriers. But if you buy an American Airlines ticket and you're not standing in American soil, I don't believe they're required by law to refund you. Now, they may not be able to tell the difference. They may just refund because that's what their systems do, right? But be very careful about that, right? The 24-hour rule is about people buying ticket. Like it's an American law from a couple years ago. Also, because we know all consumer protections are going to go away soon, I wouldn't be surprised if that's one that goes away too. Because these airlines are like, yes, come on, Big Daddy Trump and our Grand Master Elon. No rules anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that goes away. That was enacted maybe like, I don't know how many years ago. But yes, that is very, very specifically about being in America and buying a ticket. What does that mean? Right? Like, let's see. What are we talking about? Okay. Is the purchase of one-way tickets more expensive in round trip? Sometimes not. Like, airline pricing is a big mystery. I have gone on a site, Delta specifically, and seen like, economy negative 2,000, right? Like whatever the thing is. Right in the hole with the goat, right? Price. Then I've seen the Coach and then Coach Plus and then Business. I have seen Business be lower than Coach, right? Like in the same row. Airline pricing is a mystery. Sometimes one-way tickets are more expensive in round trip. Sometimes they're not. On my trip to Colombia, I'm flying 2 different airlines. I'm trying to find Aeromexico and Avianca because I couldn't get them to work together. But no, not Avianca. Yeah, Avianca, I think. We're going to find out when I get to the airport. Because Avianca is, I can't tell if they're just generally a low-cost carrier or they're just inexpensive because they're more like regional. But the flight was cheaper to do 2 one-way tickets on different airlines than to combine them together. If it was one airline, would 2 one-way tickets be less expensive? I don't know. Probably not. That's probably why I did 2 different things. When Eve left Paris in October, she had to purchase a round trip ticket because it was so much cheaper than a one-way ticket. And you can miss the second leg of your round trip ticket, but you can't miss the first leg. You miss that first leg of that round trip ticket, you're not going back the other way. So, all right. I'm going, Anita, I see your question. Today I'm going to Guatape, and then in a few days I'm going to Bogota. I saw your question, maybe see Austin asking me if I'll be there on the 15th. I will not. I'll be gone from then. Okay, more questions. We're gonna answer. All right. For those of us slow traveling and still working remotely, how are you navigating any challenges with high-speed internet? I find high-speed internet challenges to be less country-specific and more like this place I'm staying was really cheap and didn't pay for the good internet specific, right? Like it's 2024. Most places have really good internet. They just do. Like they just have really good. Stephanie always complains about how the worst place for internet speed she ever experiences is Atlanta. Like everything's fine in Costa Rica, anywhere she goes in the world, but Atlanta is where she's like, what is this? What's happening here? I think that if I were to go to a place and have slow internet and I needed to work remotely, I might find, and the home I'm in doesn't have quick internet. If I'm in a home, I would try to get to try to get out of that home as quickly as possible. I would also go to a work like a co-working space or a cafe when I can to work. One of the things you can do is Stephanie does this too, is ask, or I got this from her. Ask if you're staying at an Airbnb, ask the people to do a speed test. Some Airbnb hosts will include like a speed test in the photos of their spaces, but if they don't, ask them to do a speed test and give you the results, right? And if you're concerned about high-speed internet, you should have an idea of what speeds will work for you and which speeds won't. So I would do that check for them. I just ask them, right? Otherwise, now when I say most places have good internet, I am a city girl. I'm going to cities mostly, right? If you're going to a small town in the middle of nowhere, I don't know what you're gonna get. I don't know what you're gonna get. The worst internet I got in Mexico was in Puerto Escondido, beach town. Sorry. Our hotel room was an inside outside experience. It was like parts of it, like the living spaces were open air and then the bedrooms were closed. And I don't know if y'all remember this, but we had bats. Yes. I opened the door one day and something whizzed, I think the first day, something whizzed past my head. And then it flew and I was like, that's not a bird, that's a bat. And I feel like the bats were somehow linked to the internet. Because it really was like my internet was like moving at that speed. Like, when is my email going to get to America? When that bat flies to America. That's what the speed was giving. What are we doing? Bats and no broadband? Well, that's what we're doing. Challenging. Other than that, but like afterwards, when I looked up things about Puerto Escondido, this was years ago, everyone else said the same thing. The Wi-Fi is slow. So like if you want to go somewhere, but you think it's like a small town, I would look up. What are people saying about the internet in those places? What are people saying? I said, oh, no. Does anyone use a Solis or other portable Wi-Fi devices? I have found that when the internet isn't good, the Solis, the portable Wi-Fi device, isn't good either. I have a Solis. It's the orange one, right? If the internet isn't good in that area, I have found that the doesn't help that much. But I haven't used it probably in 4 years. So if other people have better experiences with portable Wi-Fi, drop them in the comments. Oh, CK, I like this question. When you travel to small towns or villages, have you found it difficult to find ATMs to replenish your daily funds? I find it difficult to find ATMs with money that work can be a challenge, small town, big city. I'm in Dakar, Senegal. All these ATMs, no cash. Same thing in Costa Rica. Where the money at? Like I walked half a mile to get to this ATM. Now that I'm here, I put my card and I press the clickety clacking. I'm clickety clacking. And they're like, oh no, girl. It's Friday. We ain't got no cash on Friday. Like what? Big cities for the country, like the main city. San Jose, Costa Rica, I can't get no cash. So I'm not so worried about like small towns. Everybody, if you think about it like this, if there's a location where people need money, there's probably an ATM. Generally, right? If the economy runs on cash, there's generally going to be a bank and an ATM. I've never been to a place where I haven't seen an ATM. Dakar, Senegal, I went to at least 4 ATMs before I got cash. Costa Rica may have been like 6. And the reason was people got paid. Oh, you tried to go to the ATM on like the payment weekend. What is that? Don't the banks know it's the payment weekend too? Don't the banks know when their ATM? I would think they would know when their ATM is lower. They do not care. So it doesn't have to be a small town. Money, you know what I mean? You might have money problems anywhere. When I had money problems in Costa Rica, and not in Dakar, but in Costa Rica, I was with a friend and I was like, you got more cash. I need somebody else cash. We will try some more ATMs and I will give you this cash back when I get it. But yes. Yeah, ATM's not working, no cash. Same. If I put my card in the ATM and I don't get any money out, I don't care why. Right? Like, I don't care what is it broken? Is there no I was in the ATM, I was in the airport in Costa Rica. And when we were leaving, we couldn't get cash. Then when we were arriving, we couldn't get cash. When we were leaving, there were people trying to use the ATM. This is a week later and being like, there's no cash in the ATM? A week later, still no cash. What are we doing? What's happening? See, in case if it happened to her in Tulum. Shanna says she has a Solis, but she's only used it in Japan successfully. I was on a bus between San Miguel de Allende and Guadalajara trying to use it, but I think it works, I think, off of like cellular service. And because the cellular service was non-existent, the Solis didn't work. Well, the Solis only works in places where I have cell service. I can just hotspot to my phone. I can buy a cheap SIM locally and hotspot to my phone if it's the same thing. Christine says, I heard in Mexico they have a service that delivers cash like DoorDash. Yes, there are a couple of different apps I think that'll do it. Rappi is one of them. You can get them to deliver cash. I don't want nobody coming to me with cash. That's not my ministry. I know that it works for some people, but I don't want somebody knowing where I live and how much cash I have. Now, if you need to do something like pay your rent and you can't get, a lot of times people who pay their rent in cash in countries will have to go to an ATM like 6 times in a week, right, to get all the cash. If you forgot to do that, you need a whole bunch of cash at one time, I think it makes sense. But otherwise, I don't want you knowing where I live. Oh my gosh. All right, Canvas. Did that help with your question about the internet? Ask for a speed test, hit the Googles and see what people are saying about the internet in that city. And then if it doesn't work when you get there, find cafes, find co-working places. Did you book your transportation while traveling or did you plan before you slow traveled? I tend to book while I'm traveling. It makes expenses a little bit higher, but I think it's worth it for the flexibility. And when we're saying makes expenses a little bit higher, I am going to be flying out of Medellin in a couple of days and headed to Bogota. When I looked on their national carrier, the flights were between $60 and $80. I didn't book it then. When I book it in a few days, it may be between $80 and $100. So that's what I mean. Like I gave myself a flexibility and it might cost me $20 to not have to leave, to not have to know in advance when I'm leaving. Now, every experience isn't going to be like that, but I was like 60 to 80 on the day I want to travel. I don't think it's not going to be 300 when I try to book, right? If it was, that's not going to be that, right? So outside of the US, traveling is just simpler. It's generally cheaper, depending on where you want to go. Africa might get you messed up real quick because getting from place to place is not easy on purpose. So yeah, I tend to book as much as I can last minute. Maybe not last minute, but not like months in advance. All right. Who are your favorite slow travelers? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. All right. Okay, Candace is helped. Katrina, who's been on the channel before, is slow traveling. She's in Malaysia right now. She's been slow traveling since she left her job last December, I think. So yay, Katrina Skinner. It's our favorites. Christine says Stephanie Perry. They're people who do a really good job of slow traveling. AJ Toy actually liked this question. I want to answer it. Speaking of ATMs, how much is too much cash to have on you? I don't like going to the ATM and pressing them dirty ass buttons and doing all them things. So I don't want to go to the ATM so often. So I generally have, when I'm slow traveling, there are two different answers. There's when I live at home, and then there's when I'm outside in the streets. So when I live at home, I generally go to the ATM, probably get the max, keep it in the house somewhere, and then take enough with me in the day for that if I lost it / got robbed, mugged, pickpocketed, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I lost my rent money. Right? Like I probably have like $50 on me each day. And the $50 I have on me, because I use my card a lot, the $50 I have on me will last for like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month. Right? That same $50. And what am I spending cash on? Nothing. Nothing. And then when I'm traveling to a new country, when I land in the airport, I tend to take out about $100, the equivalent of 100 US dollars, whatever that is in the local currency. And usually when I'm leaving, I have money left over. And I use it to pay for like the taxi or get something in the airport, something like that. Because I use my card. Having a fee-free debit card and having a credit card that does not charge you foreign transaction fees really simplifies life when you're traveling. I just be like, charge it, charge it, charge it. And that way I have a better idea. It's easier for me to track what I spend than cash. Because what is cash? When I spend cash, I'm like, I don't know where that money came from. Because like I said, I'll just have money for a long time in the house. I don't know where that money came from. I don't know where that money went. I don't know what I did with it. Cash. Oh, Queen of DC. I wasn't sure if I thought of her earlier, and I wasn't sure whether she's slow traveling or like living long term in places. So I didn't mention her. All right. Ooh, A4, this is a good question that I thought about earlier. Anyone ever slow travel with young kids? I'm kind of hesitant. When Libria did her year around the world with 31 people starting in 2016, her daughter would have been like, I think 10-ish. 10-ish. And she still educated her, got her in team sports around the world. Like she could go to people's like schools and play on their teams without being enrolled in a school. And so I think there are people out there doing it. It is accessible. It is something you can do. I think when I look at it, the education piece would be the hardest. Like if you don't want to educate your children yourself or get them into some kind of like online school where you just gotta like make sure they're not lighting the house on fire. They're over there working. If you want them to actually be in school, I think that's harder. But otherwise, I don't think young children are a hurdle for slow traveling. Children, they love new stuff, right? One day you live in Nice and the next day you live in Tegucigalpa, down. They love it. Love it. And then Stephanie mentioned some other people. Fro Family Travels is a channel by a family that still travels with young kids, and O Family Adventures. Okay. All right. Your kids gonna be like, I lived in 3 countries this year with their little cousins. I lived in 3 countries this year. What'd you do? Same old school? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's get back to some of these questions. Okay, Raven, this is a good question. Can someone recommend a VPN to use for making flight arrangements at a cheaper cost? I hear that when airlines don't know what you're booking from certain countries, the cost can be cheaper. Airline pricing is the biggest mystery of our lives. I don't know. I've seen a VPN not help. I have seen going into, what website was I on the other day? I was on some airline's website, and if I told them I was in, I think it was when I was flying to Canada. If I told them I was flying to Canada and I was in the US, it was one price. If I told them there's no VPN involved in this story, told them I was in Mexico, the ticket is the same every time. If I told them I'm in Mexico, it's one price. If I tell them I'm in the US, it's another price. And you can just tell them on the website where you are and what currency you want to be billed in. I think there was like $100 difference between being in Canada and like being in Mexico and paying for the exact same flight without a VPN. Sometimes VPNs, I've seen VPNs help. I've seen VPNs do nothing. I've seen incognito windows help. I've seen incognito windows do nothing. I don't know that. I'm a firm believer that when it comes to hiding your locations, a VPN is very much like hope, right? Or like it is. If you put me in an ice blonde wig right now, this very moment, it's flowing down my back. Y'all have seen me for years on the internet. If you put me in an ice blonde wig, you probably know I'm not a natural blonde. Maybe with a stranger, you don't know, but with me, you know. You see, eyebrows not changing color, lashes not changing color, just that ice blonde wig. You probably know that's not my natural hair color, but maybe you play along with me. That's how I feel about VPNs. Some sites play along with you, and some sites be like, absolutely not. Get that out of here, right? And so that's why I'm like, VPNs will sometimes work for what you want if the company you are trying to finesse does not want to be finessed, they're not going to be finessed by VPN. They're not. I have never seen someone say this VPN works every single time on every single site. It's me in an ice blonde wig. You know. You might be like, oh, your hair is so cute, but you know that's not my hair, right? Same thing with VPNs. It's not. We're not fooling who we think we're fooling. But what about an ice blonde wig? Y'all think? Or no? Okay, Netflix, maybe we have a VPN difference. Netflix be like, I see you on this VPN. For me, I see you on this VPN. Get out of here. Get out of here, girl. If I could also be like the location. So yes, so like the Big Auntie Energy show says, Shanice says, I found that my VPN is best for securing my location and I can watch football or sports as I travel. It depends on where you're trying to watch them. If you're trying to watch sports on ABC, if the mouse owns it, the Hulu, ABC, any of those stuff, it's not going to work though. The House of Mouse does not play about the VPNs. And my theory is like, if they know, NBC knows too, right? If Hulu knows, Netflix knows. Sometimes they care, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you can fool them. I can never fool Netflix. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Ice Blonde would eat. See, this is why I love y'all. Lie to me. Pump me up. I love it. Thank you. You see me come back for a vacation with the blondes, you know. Just be like, I like your hair. You know the Black Girl Code. I like your hair is so cute. No, it's not my hair. I love it. I love it. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. All right. Michelle says she thinks VPNs used to help, but they adjusted it a while ago. Yeah, no, these airlines be like, you'll never decipher the mystery of buying a ticket. How complicated can we make it? I love y'all. It's your hair because you bought it. Yes. 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 No, but the VPNs, they'd be like, I can see the wig, girl. I can see the lace. In fact, it's sliding back. I can see the brown roots. I can see your hair. It's the like Hulu be like, your wig's sitting too high, girl. It's sitting, not even like I like your hair. Your wig is sitting too high. Pull it down. Do something. Don't play that. Don't play that. Oh, this is a great question. I saw a Nightmare YouTube video wherein the Airbnb was infested with roaches upon arrival in Albania. What's the plan for quick housing in a foreign country? I've had roaches in two places in Airbnbs, in Dakar, Senegal, and in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. The Mexico roaches I saw on like day 2. And on that day, I pulled the entire cover of I'd slept in the bed one night. I pulled the entire cover back and I saw a bug that I was not familiar with this bug in between the blanket and the top sheet. Now, I wasn't sleeping in that layer because I don't want the blanket on me, right? So I'm underneath the top sheet. But the roach that I saw, that place in Playa del Carmen, I turned on the light and the roach was like, oh, you think I'm running? Girl, this is my place. He said, you're the guest. If you don't want to be in the same space I'm in, I suggest you move. I said, the roach was like, I live here. Now, my friend lived a couple blocks away. I intentionally booked it close to Claire. Some of you guys know who used to live in Playa del Carmen from Up in the Air Life. I hit her up and I was like, I'm coming over. I know, I think Raven was staying there at the time because we were all in town for Claire's birthday, maybe something like that. So Raven was staying at Claire's and she was leaving the next morning. So I had to spend one night on the couch and the next night we changed up the room Raven was in, changed the sheets, and I had a place to stay for a couple of days. Because no. And I immediately messaged Airbnb, took photos. If you can take photos of the insects, that's what you need to do. If you're dealing with Airbnb, take photos of the insects. We're off the slow travel combo, but we don't get back there. I took photos. The roach in the middle of the floor, like, what was that? I hit Airbnb and they were like, let's talk to the owner. And the owner was like, oh, it's Playa del Carmen. There are always roaches. I said, so it's not a bug, it's a feature, huh? If there are always roaches, that should be in the description. You ain't say nothing about there are always roaches in the description of this place. So he's arguing. I don't know what happened between him and Airbnb, but I got my money back for the entire stay. There are always roaches. And this is not my first time staying. I've stayed in other places in Playa del Carmen that did not have roaches. So well, he was like, oh, there are always roaches. It's Playa del Carmen. I said, oh, well, you and that roach got that place. I took a photo of me dropping out. I took a video of me leaving the key in the little lockbox. I let one declares and one was like, I'll work it out the next morning. In the car, I didn't see the roaches until later. I saw the place wasn't, it was clean, but it wasn't clean, right? Like the doorknobs, the light switches were like brown. And when I took my Lysol wipe to it, they're supposed to be white. They were just so they'd never been cleaned, like that kind of stuff. Where like you're cleaning the floor, you're changing the sheets, but you're not like doing the cleaning that I want you to do. Anyway, same place, Sour Roach. And the people were like, was it, now this is years later, Airbnb was like, was it just one roach? Because if it was just one roach, and I was like, first of all, you're not going to get me to stay in a place because there's only one roach. So the owner sent over someone to fumigate. I see nothing else. I was like, all right, I'm gonna sleep here. We've only seen one roach. We cleaned up the roach. The next morning, I saw another roach in the bathroom, packed my stuff, booked a hotel, and I was like, when shall I be seeing my money? Because there was a second roach. You said was there only one, and here's a photo of another one. So what are we doing? So right. Okay. So I think this is an important point. Glamazini says, in all seriousness, I don't know any Caribbean places where there are no roaches. And I think that you living in your home in a place and somehow a roach has gotten in and so you deal with it is one thing. I think you coming to a place and seeing that there are roaches and you don't know how many, you don't know if there's a nest, do they have nests? You don't know what's going on. I think that's another thing. I also feel like if there are places in this location that don't have roaches, like if there are roaches in every single home, hotel room, establishment in this place, I guess I'm gonna sleep with a roach or go to another city. But if there are places here that don't have roaches, I would like to go to there. I would like that, right? And so when I was in the car, the guy was like, oh, my bad, I have another place. So other Americans were just here and they loved it. And I was like, I don't think you're talking about my people. So I don't trust that either. But I was like, let me go to a hotel. That hotel ain't had no roaches. The hotel doesn't have any roaches, right? And so that is my feeling. Like, yes, there are certain places where based on the weather, there may be more insects. But if there are places in that city location that don't have roaches, that's where I want to be. Where's the no roach place? When I was in Fiji, in my very expensive hotel, I woke up, there was no roach, no insect. One morning, when I went to sleep, when I woke up, there was a dead one, which tells me y'all fumigated. And wherever, like, y'all had fumigated this room before I came in, and the roach slithered out and wanted to die in public. I went to the front desk and I was like, hi, there's a dead roach in my room. And the lady was like, okay, would you like to speak to the manager? And I was like, I couldn't understand our disconnect because she thought I was like coming to have a fit. It's it's not a live roach. It's a dead roach. I want someone to come and get it out my room because I'm on vacation. And these are not my roaches. These are your roaches. So I'm not gonna get rid of them. You got to come do this. I'm not picking up. Some of y'all will do this. It was on that vacation, that was not for me. I'm not picking up this roach. You need to send a cleaning person to get in there, shake out some things, make sure there are no more, pick up that roach from the middle of the floor and go about her day. But she was like, okay, so what can we do? And I was like, just get the roach. But I think she thought, like, obviously I picked up the roach and threw it away. And so now I'm here to complain. And I was like, no. I left that roach there for somebody else. I'm so sorry. I don't know why it's not my roach. Yes. Okay. So she definitely thought I was coming for some kind of concession to yell to get money off. And I was like, no, if it was a live roach, it would be different. It's a dead roach, which tells me y'all have been taking care of business. Y'all taking care of your business the best you can is what I see when I see there was no roach the day before. Now I'm seeing a dead roach. It's not my roach. You got to come get this. I didn't bring it with me. But when I was leaving my hotel in Dakar, I had my suitcase open all night. The way I shook everything out to make sure I wasn't bringing any roaches with me to the hotel from the Airbnb. Anyway, all that to say, call Airbnb. If they're not helpful, don't stay there anyway. Right? Don't stay there anyway. Go get a hotel. Go stay somewhere else. Don't do that. Right? So like the quick answer is call Airbnb. If they have another place, they will try to get you in it. And then if that didn't work for me, what they were offering didn't work for me, so I went to a hotel. I'm not picking up carcasses. I'm drinking pina coladas. Take me to the beach. I said, oh, girl, no, I will not be going back. I'm going to breakfast now. Let's go ahead and send someone to my room. Take that out. I'll be back from breakfast in an hour or two. Thank you. Jay keeps a little peppermint in her suitcase because they hate that smell. All right. So yes, roaches, scary, bad. The more you travel, the greater chance you'll have to see them. For people who hate bugs, Google is your friend, right? Like Mexico City has very little bugs because our elevation, we're dry. It's not a humid place, it's a dry place, and our elevation is so high. These bugs not surviving. I have a fly in my apartment. I want to say like maybe once a year. I've been bitten inside my apartment. I've been bitten by a mosquito twice in 5 years. They're not out here like that, right? I've never had roaches. We had something called drain flies the other day in the building. I think they took over the whole building because I saw them, and then they were like, we need to fumigate. Drain flies are nasty. We're not going to talk about that, but small problem once in 5 years. Other than that, Mm-mm. Look for like if you go to tropical places, you're going to see bugs. Right? So you got to get to less tropical places, and high elevations are good for no bugs or less bugs. They're there. All right. Back to slow traveling. How does slow travel affect your packing? I think slow traveling compared to other types can help you pack less, because if you're staying in the same, depending on how large the country is, like you may be staying in a lot of the same climate zones, right? That's not true for America. It's not true for Mexico. It's not going to be true for like Brazil, right? It's not true for Argentina because it goes so far south. But for a lot of countries, if you're slow traveling through them, you'll be able to pack less because the countries aren't going to have that many climate zones, and some of the regions are smaller than a lot of other countries as well, right? Like you can slap multiple Western Europes in America, multiple, right? Because it's so much smaller. So I think it's easier to pack because there's less things. I think there's some things you'll need to think about, like your converter plug thingy, which I don't know if I need it. I meant to look it up and figure out whether I need one. I have a whole bag of them. For Colombia, I have so many of these. Like you may need, if you're going to different countries, you may need different ones. But a lot of times you can get one that Great Britain, Ireland, Africa, Hong Kong, Singapore. Sure. A lot of times you can buy one that it adapts. This is an adapter, but adapters that work in multiple countries. Mine that works in multiple countries broke. I find they break more than like the one country ones because they're more complicated. But other than that, usually things are pretty easy as far as packing goes. Slow travelers out there, what are things that make packing more complicated if you're slow traveling? And then what are things that make it less complicated? For all the slow travelers in the audience, let's talk about packing. Oh, I don't trust that my heat tools are gonna not like die and everything. So I don't do that. I don't bring heat tools. Like I love my blow dryer. I've got the Shark, the cheap girls Dyson blow dryer, and I really like it, but I don't travel with it. I just carry a diffuser with me, like that I can just plug into any blow dryer. I need to put that in my bag tonight. So Adelia says multiple climates complicate things. Okay, so Kim says she uses a flat iron SA in France with no issues. With the converter, the adapters, no. I know it's one of those things where I'm like, it's factually, I know this is the right answer. I know this is accurate. I don't trust it. I know it's the right answer. I still don't trust it. Okay. Stephanie says sticking to one type of weather makes it easier, and trusting that they have stores where you're going helps. Yes. I'm a terrible overpacker with hard to my shoes. I don't have small feet, so I find it tough to pack light. I hope to reduce bulk by doing 5 by 5 by 5. Tell us what 5 by 5 by 5 is. I'd love to know. Anissa says she doesn't have to pack hair products for travel in Latin America. Okay, Anissa, I'm going to ask you this friendly question. Is that because you can use Latin hair products on your hair, or because you know they'll have Black hair products in Latin America? Said with love. All right. Deras says, when slow traveling, I think about laundry. Spent a month in Spain in Airbnbs, but strategically picked a hotel for one stop because the room had a washer dryer. I've never seen a washer dryer in a hotel room before. Interesting. Usually, what I do is like every other week, I make sure I'm spending at least one day in a place with the Airbnb. When I'm slow traveling, at least every other week, I make sure every 10 days or so, I want to stay in a place with a washing machine, even if it's just for one day, and I spend the entire day doing laundry. Not ideal. I don't want to be in Airbnb for one day. But I try to really make sure I make that happen. Oh, okay. So 5 by 5 by 5 is 5 tops, 5 bottoms, 5 shoes. Okay. So I'm hesitating here because I know that we all live different lives. And I don't know who made this up, this 5 by 5 by 5. But if you only have 5 tops and you only have 5 bottoms, you're not going nowhere where you need 5 pairs of shoes. You don't need 5 pairs of shoes. If you only have 5 tops and 5 bottoms, you can get away with 3 pairs of shoes. I spent last year, spring, I was in Europe, and I want to say I spent 3 months there with 3 pairs of shoes. I had a pair of cute sandals, a pair of tennis shoes. And what was the other? And it might have been like flip flops. Might have been the other one. If you were like, I'm going to a place and I'm bringing a ball gown because I have an event, I can get to 5 shoes. Otherwise, I'm like, you are probably overpacking. Yeah. So Eve says Crocs, flats, sandals, sneaker, water shoes. If you're counting water shoes, like small, foldable, collapsible water shoes, as pair of the 5, yes, great. If not, it's too many shoes. You're taking up your clothes room or room to get clothes where you're going. Too many shoes. Okay. Big Auntie Energy says, I have hiking shoes, a pair of heels, 2 flats, and sneakers. When you're traveling long term, I would ask if you're actually going to wear those heels. And maybe you will. Maybe you will. But if the flats are interchangeable with the heels for an outfit, the heels won't get left behind somewhere. Or you're going to be like shoving them in your suitcase every time, knowing you haven't worn them in a month. Adelia brought up a really good point, which I do as well. Wear boots on the plane. I always wear the biggest pairs of shoes on the plane. I've stopped traveling with boots though. I'm not bringing hiking boots. If the hike requires a boot, if the hike requires a hiking boot, I shan't. If I can do it in tennis shoes, I'll do it. But if the hike requires a hiking boot, it's not. I won't. Not me. And so I used to travel with like boots to be cute. And now I'm like, I don't need to be that cute. I just need to show up. Wear your biggest pair, like your bulkiest pair of shoes on the plane when you're traveling. If your bulkiest pair of shoes is not comfortable enough to spend a whole day traveling in, don't bring that bulky pair of shoes. Bring something else. Okay. Jazzy D says my hair is long, thick and tangly. Pattern is the only product that makes it possible for me to comb through and twist my hair. I can't find everything else. Bring Pattern with you, girl. Bring it with you. Because you'll find you'll find Cantu everywhere. Shea Moisture, not the whole lines, not all the different lines, but you'll find a lot of it everywhere. Pattern, you're pushing it. Bring it with you. All right. Yeah, I haven't packed shoes, so I'm going. It's only 2 weeks. I'll bring tennis shoes and sandals. And that literally might be it. It might, maybe flip-flops. That's it. Now, I'm going to say this. If you are a person who part of the travel experience is taking the fancy photos and looking amazing every time you come, wherever you go, this is not packing advice for you. I don't have packing advice for you. If the travel experience is like, I'm going to take some fly photos in some fly outfits around the world, the slow travel life might not be for you, right? The slow travel packing advice might not be for you. But if you're like, I just want to get up and eat some corn pops and then go to a museum, this works. All right. All right. Okay. Let's go to some more questions. We've talked packing. What are we talking about? We already did that one. Do you have to buy SIMs in each country as you slow travel? Some people like eSIMs you can get online, like Airlo, but I have talked to people who have eSIMs who I don't know if it's a user error or what, but they have problems getting it to work. So I've checked reviews. If I'm slow traveling, yes, I get an eSIM. I get a SIM card, generally an actual physical SIM card in every country I go to, because I'm there for at least 30 days. If I'm going to be in a place like 4 days, I might don't get a SIM, especially if I'm staying in a place that I know has good Wi-Fi. And like I've downloaded the translator, the language in the translator app to be offline. So I don't need my SIM. I don't need internet for that. If I've downloaded the offline map, if I've downloaded the map, like in Google Maps, you can download offline maps. So you don't need to be on the internet to get a map. If I've done those things, if my converter app is up to date and I'm only going to be there for a few days, I don't get a SIM card. But if I'm going to be in a place for a month, I get a SIM. It's easier to explore and do things that way. All right. What other questions do we have? All right. Okay. So JC, I think this is really interesting. And I want to talk to you about this a little bit more. You say you overpack every time you travel. I need my cleaning supplies, disposable sheets, towels, and skincare. Okay. So For a lot of us, when we slow travel, we're going like 3 to 6 months, right? And staying in maybe 3 to 6 places, right? Maybe more, maybe 6 to 12 places, depending on how you're moving through the world. Um, in that case, what are you bringing with you, right? Are you bringing disposable sheets? And then how many sets of them? Are you bringing your own sheets that you're washing as you go from place to place? How much cleaning supplies are you bringing? Are you willing to buy cleaning supplies in other places? Traveling for a long time, which a lot of us do when we slow travel, requires, Stephanie mentioned this earlier, requires some faith that the things you need are going to be accessible in the place you go. I don't travel anywhere without Lysol wipes, but if I'm traveling for months at a time, I'm not going to bring a big old container. I'm going to assume that when I go to any place in the world, there are going to be some wipes. There are going to be some masks. So when I get on my 12th plane, I still have a mask. I just have to assume that some of those things are going to be with me. And so that when you're traveling, a couple different things, you're going to have to become accustomed to not having all the things you want, become accustomed to having some of the things you want in a new package, new whatever. Because you're not going to be able to get some of the things you know as you know them. So that's just part of the flexibility. But yeah, I personally think that long-term travel might help with the overpacking that you're talking about. You're not going to want to drag towels to 6 different countries. You're just not. Okay, and I'm looking for your answer to my question. Did you leave? Did you answer my question? It was a serious question. I wasn't even talking shit. You didn't leave. You said you need a packing tutorial instead of answering my question about hair products. Okay, let's see. Sabbatical starts Monday. Says I do bring my own lightweight throw blanket in case I get the ick from their linens, and I'll find a local IKEA if needed. I have bought the place I went to in 2 places. I say in 2 places in Dakar. Neither one of them had any hand soap. One of them didn't have any toilet paper. Like, I'm checking in at 11 o'clock at night. You ain't got no hand soap. And I've had this conversation online before, and people tend to respond in ways that are childish. And why I say childish is that I've had people respond in a way that is either just very defensive or not thinking. It's not clickety clacking. Right. Okay. So I go there, they have no toilet paper. And people be like, well, it's a Muslim country. Use the hose. Cool. Even the man who checked me in was like, oh, yeah, girl, my hose not working. That hose doesn't work. And then someone on this beautiful internet was like, stop being a Westerner. You're just supposed to use your hand. There's a world where I could believe that no one in Dakar uses toilet paper and everyone just uses their hands. It's not the world I live in. But even so, The people that are using their hand to wipe wherever they are in the world have soap in their house. They have soap. There's soap. So if I tell you there's no soap in the place, don't be like, you just being too bougie. You're supposed to use your hand. No toilet paper. 11 o'clock at night. No toilet paper. The hose does not. The rinsey washy hose does not work. When you turn it on, it sprays the entire room. The man was like, "Don't turn my hose on, girl. don't turn the hose on. No toilet paper. No hose. No soap to wash your hand. If the answer is use your hand, and you're just use your hand. Just use your hand. You're not clickety clacking. You're not clickety clacking up here, because ain't no way. I told you the place does not have any soap in the entire place. And your answer to me is, I'm too bougie. I just need to use my hand. I said that little man to the store. Young sir, go get me the things. He was like, I can't believe there's nothing here. Well, go fix it. I was like, it's 11 o'clock. Get to the store and get back. Thank you. What are y'all doing? So yes, there are going to be some gaps as you travel through the world. There are going to be some gaps as you travel through the world, and you just need to figure out how you can fix them in the place you go to. And then don't get on the internet telling people what they should have done. I should have just used my hand. First of all, it's not going to be like, I don't see how we get clean using hands. I don't see how we get clean using hands. There may actually be a cultural difference here, but I don't see how I get clean wiping myself after I go to the bathroom with my hand. But no, there's no soap. You disgust me. And they be acting like I'm the problem. They be in my comments acting like I'm the problem. Like, you didn't think this through? You didn't think this through? Ain't no soap. What? Perry Sani says I travel with wipes and bar soap due to sensitivities. Now I know I need them because those things won't be supplied. In a lot of places, they will be. And then in some other places, they won't be. None of the Airbnbs I went into, no. I stayed in the third one. The third one had everything I needed. It was owned by a woman. It was run by a woman. But the third one had all the things. The first two did not have soap. Not a soap in the shower, which I don't need, but like a hand soap to wash your hands. Ain't no hospitality in the hospitality industry. I said, oh. Have I ever purchased mosquito netting to use in your global spaces? Or your global space? I don't want to go to any place where there are mosquitoes. When I was in Zimbabwe, I slept under mosquito net, but I was mad because if I have to sleep under mosquito net, I don't want to be there. Like, I don't need to be in parts. I'm also very, very sensitive to mosquitoes. I swell up really big. It's a big thing. I've got scars on my legs from mosquito bites as a child. Like, mosquitoes impact me more than they impact other people. Not all the other people on the planet, but a lot of other people, right? Like I'll get one bite and have a swelling like this big, right? I don't want to be where there are mosquitoes. So I've never bought a mosquito net because I don't want to go to. I'd be mad. Like, why am I here with mosquitoes? Why are they buzzing in my ear? You're making all that damn noise. And I want to murder you. Like, all I want to do is kill you. It's too combative. Me and mosquitoes is too combative. Mm-mm, mm-mm. No. Anita, Global Grinding says women owned or managed Airbnbs are the best. And she is an Airbnb owner. And I know that's not just a buy. It's true. It's true. Whenever I can travel, if I can support a woman owned business, I do. When we were in Morocco, every male owned or ran business was a problem, and every woman owned one was smooth. And it was very much like, what is going on here? What is going like what every time it was a man at the helm, it was like, how are you going to spend on me today? And with women, it was like, this is what we do, this is what we do, and we're done. It was just so much easier. So yeah. Mm. Okay, so absolutely factually untrue for me. Uh, I spent years in Jamaica with mosquitoes. Ain't enough room spray, nets, nothing. The mosquitoes love me, and my body hates them. Like, I'm never good. If there are mosquitoes, I'm never good. It's why I don't want to go to beaches. The heat and mosquitoes? No. Mm-mm. I'm swollen for days. All right, let me get to my actual list of things we want to talk about. Some of the pros and the cons of slow travel. So for you guys, what would you say if you've slow traveled? What would you say some of the pros are? And what would you say some of the cons are of slow traveling versus moving somewhere or versus traveling in a quicker speed? All right. So for me, a pro versus for slow traveling versus like a more vacationy travel, quicker travel is it's a more leisurely experience, right? It's a more leisurely experience. If I don't want to do anything today, I don't have to do anything today because my time barriers, like I'm not as time constrained. This is one, and I hadn't even thought about it. Autoimmune conditions. My body, anytime my body is always attacking itself. So when I get a mosquito bite, it's like, yeah, no. Mm-mm. All right. Um, Will says con is usually it generally takes more prep to be away for longer. Yes, versus a vacation, but I would say no versus moving abroad, right? So this was basically about slow traveling and why it can be superior to moving abroad. So yes, it can take a more prep time to be away for longer, but if you're going to be away for the same amount of time versus like moving abroad or traveling quickly, if the same amount of time you're traveling for, slow travel tends to be easier with less prep because you don't have to get visas to 12 countries. You need to get visas for like 3. Jasmine says pro, you don't feel like you could do everything. You can just kind of live like a local. Stephanie says pro, you get your rest. You might make friends. Lana says con, I'm worried about booking a place for an extended time period and hating it. Let's talk about that. There's things you can do. When I went to Thailand, I booked a place for a month and it was inexpensive enough that if I hated it, I wasn't going to be like, it had great reviews. It was an Airbnb. It had great reviews. I was like, if I don't love it, it's inexpensive enough that I'm not going to be like, my whole life is ruined and I have to move back. It was like maybe like $500 a month, right? Not like that's not nothing, but it's not, $3,000 for the month. I booked it per month and then I extended for another 2 months after I realized I liked the location. I liked everything about it. In some places I In some places, I will go there for a while and get to see the neighborhoods and figure out where I like, and then get an Airbnb or some kind of rental while I'm there, so that I'm not at least committing to a neighborhood or maybe even a place sight unseen. But I would say if you're going to be in a place more than a month, I wouldn't recommend booking one place for the whole time until you have a better idea of like being there. So like if you're going to go somewhere for 6 months, I wouldn't rent a place for 6 months before you get there. I wouldn't rent a place for 3 months before you get there, right? Like that $500 a month apartment in Chiang Mai, I was like, if I hate it, I'm gonna get on Airbnb and tell them why I hate it and hope I can get some of that money back and move somewhere else. But I didn't. It was great. Reviews were good. Pictures were good. Yeah. And honestly, the more you book rental housing, the easier it is to get rental housing. The easier it is to book it. You get used to like the pictures. Like if you tell me you have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, I want to see a photo of everything. And if you don't have a photo of every bathroom and every bedroom, I'm suspicious. I'm probably not booking that place. At least not without more communication, right? I need more communication, because what are we doing? If I can only see 1 bedroom, is there another bedroom, or are you counting the living room with a pull-out couch as a bed, as one of the bedrooms? You probably are. No, thank you. All right. It's time for our real quick ad break. Hi, Stephanie and I host Exodus ASAP. If you want to move abroad, if you want to bop around for a long time, this is a community of Black women who want the same thing you want. There is weekly coaching in there. There are gems being dropped in there. There are so many things that make the space amazing. Steph and I have done coaching on how to pick your move abroad locations, which I did this week. Last week, Stephanie did coaching on how to figure out your cost of living no matter where in the world you're going. The week before that, we did, it was just in my head. We did, should you sell or rent your house? If you own a home of any kind, should you sell it or rent it? So we help people figure out that, problem solve for that one. And this week, Anne-Marie, the anti-HR lady, is coming in to talk to people about how to get a severance from their employer. And this isn't always going to be my employer was mean to me, and so, or like violated a law, so I should get a severance. Sometimes it's just negotiating, I think my time here is over and I would like some money to leave, right? And so she's going to talk to the women in the community on Thursday about that. So it's 8 p.m. Eastern time. We still have time to join. All of the replays for the things we talked about are still available. So Committed to the Journey, it is only for women. It's only for women. If a woman in a couple signs up, right? There are women who are in relationships, who are members of the community. We don't see their other halves because this is a women's only space, but I'm sure their other half is benefiting from the information. You can go to exodusasap.com. Appreciate you being a supporter. So I had a revelation this week. There was something happened, and I realized, for any of you guys that are in our Exodus Facebook group, I was looking at a difference between our group and a different group. I'm not gonna say which one because there's no point in being messy. But 2 posts were made, exact same posts in 2 different groups. And the responses in both groups were wildly different. In one of the groups, it was very supportive. In Exodus, it was very supportive. And in the other group, it was very, very negative. And I said something to Adelia about it. And she said, and it never like, I never put it into those words before. Let's see if I can quote her real quick. I never put it into those words before. But when she said it, I was like, this is really what it is. This is what we've built. She said, it's the difference between spaces where Black women and their knowledge are valued and where they are not. And Exodus Summit, the Facebook group, Exodus Summit, the event, Exodus ASAP, are safe spaces for Black women, not only to be members of the community, but to contribute as members of the community, because Black women are so highly valued in this community. Black women are centered in the community. They are so highly valued. So that when a Black woman comes in with a message, no one is denigrating her. No one is saying, you don't know what you're talking about. No one is saying, this information, how dare you charge for this information that you've gathered over decades, right? And I value that so much about this space, and it's the reason it will always be for Black women only. That is the reason it will always be for Black women only. We have part of Exodus ASAP is that we have peer-to-peer space where any member of the community can talk to the rest of the community about anything they want to talk about. If you find knitting, this is not a good example. Steffi's gonna be mad at me for this. If you find knitting really healing, and so you want to talk to people about how you got into knitting and then start a knitting circle, you could do that, right? But ones you've had so far are about like moving with your children, getting healthcare abroad, right? Things like that. Like they are very relevant to the move abroad. We have another one coming up about investing soon that someone in the community is leading. But it really is, these are women who are sharing the knowledge they have, and we don't have naysayers in the community telling them, you don't know anything. What are you talking about? Right? Like they get to come and be supported as they share their information. And y'all come here every week and you see that there's always some person who's unhappy with their own life. And so they come here trolling, right? And being really negative, even about things that don't have anything to do with them. Nothing to do with them. And I think you have to pay attention to the people who are displeased when you're happy, right? A man showed up my comments this week talking about thumbs down, passport bros, yeah, thumbs up. And I'm like, I didn't mention men at all. I didn't mention passport bros. But you're being so negative about my video about where that's specifically for Black women. For why? Right? If this video is about an easy landing place for Black women, it is also going to be an easy landing place for Black men. And instead of getting that information and using it to your benefit, you're being really weird, multiple comments, being really weird in my comments, bigging up the passport bros and thumbs down to, I guess, Black women. And it's like, not every space in the world is going to be for you. And I understand being like offended if you're used to spaces catering to you and you find a space that doesn't cater to you. But we don't have to live like that. I don't have to live like that, right? Like on YouTube, I can just block you. In a space where I have access to say whether you get in or not, I'm always going to say no if you come with the baggage that is not centering Black women. And I know all Black men don't do this. I know all other women don't do this. I know some of them have the capacity to center Black women, but I can't trust y'all on site. I can't. can't. You can show up in my comments every day telling me I can't trust you on site. And so is Black women only. Love y'all. Mean it. Give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You know I don't care. But the spaces that I create are for Black women because there are very few spaces in this world, and even in this Move Abroad space, where the knowledge and experiences that Black women have are centered and valued. And that's what we do at Exodus ASAP. It's not just a safe space for Stephanie and I. It's a safe space for the community. And it's a safe space for the community to step up and say, hi, I want to talk to my people, my community about this thing or that thing, and to feel loved and supported because Black women and their knowledge are valued and supported. So long story, but Black women only. Because some of y'all be tripping, like, it's weird. Some of y'all be tripping, or I'm like, I don't understand why you would do this. Why are you so invested? I can't, I just really, my life is so busy with joy, good food, people I love, that I can't imagine getting on Beyonce's internet and being like, boo to you for not centering me. Like, woo! The unloved really be worried about us. They be so worried about us. Exodus Summit, right? Exodus ASAP. If you want support, weekly coaching for your move abroad, it's a great place to be. I recommend it for you. You can, child, that every time Stephanie drops that text link, I'm like, people still be texting for info, but you can also go to exodusasap.com and get that link. I appreciate all of you that are not Black women that are here silently. You don't have to be silent. You can comment as long as you don't center anybody but Black women. Love that for y'all. Okay. More slow travel stuff. Let's see what the other questions I haven't answered are. Ooh. For clarification, slow travel is staying in one country for more than 1 month or 2+ months. It can be anything you want it to be, right? It's one of those things that doesn't really have there's no strict definition. I would say staying for 30 days in one place, right? So like if you're in a city for 30 days, you're probably slow traveling, maybe even down to like 21 days. You're probably still slow traveling. If you're in a new city / new country every 2 weeks, I wouldn't call that slow traveling. Random question, but I'm gonna answer it anyway. Have you ever felt an earthquake in Mexico City? Yes, but I grew up in California, so earthquakes are kind of like, meh. I am a person that believes like, when my time comes, right? So like, is it an earthquake? There are a couple here where I've been in bed and have not gotten out of bed. Like I know I'm supposed to get in a bathtub. I don't have a bathtub. I know I'm supposed to get in a doorway, under a desk. I just laying in bed like, okay, girl, what you gonna do? But earthquakes can be serious things here. They have been serious in the past. I just don't worry about them. If a serious one happens and bad things happen to the city, I will deal with it appropriately in the time that I have to deal with it. But I don't worry about an earthquake coming. All right. Oh, see, y'all be hearing stuff on Stephanie's channel and coming here and asking me about it. CK, you know I'm going to point you out for this. Where's the October 2025 European meetup? What are you talking about? Because I have never on this channel said anything about an October 25 European meetup. You got to ask the person who told you about it. Me? It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Mm-mm. You know who told you about that. All right. All right, another question. I'm looking for advice with slowing my plans down as I'm trying to maximize my 6 to 8 weeks to travel. I work remotely from anywhere, but travel domestically for work 5 to 6 times a year. Okay, so you can work from anywhere. You want to maximize 6 to 8 weeks. Big Auntie Energy Show. How many 6 to 8 week trips can you take in a year? Is it 4? Is it 3? Let us know because that will help. See, now why y'all here asking about a meetup? Y'all know I don't just block trolls. I block y'all for not listening and learning. Don't be over here talking about no October meetup, no European meetup, because I have already said I don't know nothing about that. I have never said anything about it. Why are y'all really in the Anita, I see you. I tell you guys this all the time. If you comment here, I can, unless I've already blocked you. I blocked a whole bunch of y'all. Woo! I can see it. If you comment, I can see it. Don't. All right. Big Auntie Energy Show. I'm waiting for your answer. How many 6 to 8 week trips can you take a year? And then I think we can figure out how to help you slow down. And where do you want to go? You have about 5, 6, 8 blocks we can take in 2025. Where are the places you really want to see? Because my recommendation would be to go to a place like, if you wanted to go to Europe, right? Go in one of the first blocks because the Schengen zone is funny and you get to be out for a length of time and in and blah, 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 blah. I would go for maybe to Europe if that's one of the places you want to go, and go spend some time if the weather agrees with that timing, and maybe visit 2 countries in the first 6 to 8 week block, come back to the US, maybe go to Central America and 2 countries, right? Maybe South America, 2 countries, and then go, because if you're always coming back to America, you don't have to be as region focused, right? Go for 6 to 8 weeks, go to a different region for 6 to 8 weeks, and then go to a different region. And then I would limit it to maybe living in 2 countries and maybe taking a weekend trip to another country. Not every weekend, like maybe a weekend trip to another country, maybe twice a month, maybe once a month. That's what I would recommend to maximize that time. Having to come back to America is, I think there are positives and negatives about it, because you can come back and make your we can come back and repack, get the stuff you need, figure out what worked for you the first time and what didn't work the first time. But then it's also like you're leaving the region that you're in and maybe you really love, because you have to come back to America. But if work requires it, right? Lady Sarita said, this is kind of slow travel related. I was on that boat for 14 days, 13, something like that. I don't know. Who can count? Would you do a Ritz-Carlton repositioning trip again? I enjoyed seeing and listening to that. Wonder if they have sales. I don't know if they have sales. I ain't seen a sale, but I would definitely do a repositioning trip again. Being on the water for days and not like having to stop places and do things, I'd do it again. Definitely. Okay, Celeste Ray says, planning month in Burbs of Bangkok and want to spend 2 weeks of that testing the waters to working about time zone on tourist visa. Yay or nay? This brings me to one of the cons that I have about slow traveling is that if you have to do it, if you have to work, you're probably not working in the local economy, right? So if you have to work to provide for yourself, if you're traveling on a tourist visa, you're probably not not going to be able to get local work. You're probably not allowed to work locally. You probably should not be working locally. But if you're working on that time is working from your laptop in your Airbnb or at a cafe, if you're not working in the local economy, most countries won't care. Right? Like when I traveled for work, I'm pretty sure most times when I entered a country, even though I was traveling for work, I still got like a tourist visa. They don't care, right? It's 2024 again. People know a lot of us are working from our laptops, right? You're not working in the Thai economy. You're not taking money from people in Thailand. You're not paying people in Thailand. And in your 2-week stay, you won't have to pay taxes in Thailand. So I don't think there's a problem with that. I maybe hit Google and find out if people like the Thai authorities really care about that. This is not legal advice. But I wouldn't think twice. I personally, for myself, not advice for you, personally for myself, I wouldn't think twice about it. Would not think twice about it. Yeah, American Job Work Approved laptop to go. If you are visiting your cousin in Serbia for 2 weeks, what are the chances you would not do any work for your American company in that 2 weeks? I would not think twice. Now, if I was going to be working there or doing some kind of Thai thing, like maybe booking trips to Thailand while I am in Thailand on a tourist visa, I might think more carefully about it. But what you're talking about, I wouldn't mention it. People are mentioning travel insurance. Yes, 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 yes. Good idea. Michelle brings up a good point. I don't know how old you are, Celeste, but last time I checked, the time in Thailand was 12 hours away from East Coast time. So if you have to be alert and awake and responsive in your US hours, I couldn't do this at 45, and I see you just at 55, so I don't know. But if you can just work your own time, I wouldn't worry about it. We're not worried about it at all. All right, friends. So that was one of the cons I had was you can't work in the local economy, and your job might be funny about it. One of the pros that we didn't mention is, I have to work at 7:30 at night to 4:30 a.m. Wouldn't be a problem for you. Child, you better than me. Woo! At 12 o'clock, I would be like, I am so sorry, y'all. My power is flickering every night. My power is flickering, and I'll be offline. I'll catch up on what I missed at 7 a.m. What are you talking about? 4:30, if you can do it, much love to you. If you're thinking about a destination to move to, it's definitely worth testing it if you're thinking of it as a destination to move to, and those are the hours you have to work. but my body don't do that. Put me to sleep by 9 o'clock, please. All right. House sitting. House sitting is a good way to support your slow travel. Stephanie, if you have a link, can you drop it? I don't have a link. House sitting is a good way to support your slow travel because that's what Kat brought to my mind earlier. She asked, is she slow traveling? She's been in San Miguel de Allende for 2 months. She's been in San Miguel de Allende for 2 months house sitting. I think she's still house sitting, right? That's a great way to be in a place for 2 months without paying for any housing. House sitting. Not everyone is going to want a house sitter for 2 months. Some might want it for a month. Some might want it for a weekend. But if there are opportunities to stay in a place for 2 or 3 months as a house sitter, it's a good option. And if you're not getting paid, most countries won't consider that work. So you're not working in their economy. So, yeah. Sabbatical starts Monday. If I wasn't highly allergic to pet dander, I would house sit. There are people who just want you to house sit their plants. I had a house sitter for my plants once. It was a terrible experience because of the house sitter, not because of like anything else. She killed all my plants. But I had someone come in here just to make sure I was gone for a month. My plants didn't die. Now I have my cleaning lady do it. You're going to come anyway? Girl, put some water in these plants. See you in a month. All right, so yes. So think about house sitting, and you can use Stephanie's link to sign up if you haven't already, as a way to stay long-term, to slow travel, right? TK says, same question regarding house sitting and pests at the accommodation. What can one do? I sometimes think we worry too much. And I think that this is false. I'm not invalidating what you're saying. I'm saying you might be worried a little bit too much. Yes, there may be at some point a house sit with pests, but I also feel like people who have pests in their home, like if their house is overrun with roaches, they're probably not calling it a house sitter. And if they are, and it hasn't been like you read the old reviews and they haven't, it's your nightmare, I get it. And they reviews haven't said anything about it. I know, listen, Stephanie will say all the time, like, you're not supposed to leave a house sit. You get there, you stay. If I call them and they say they have, I'm like, you need to fumigate this, you have roaches, and they're like, no, we're not doing it, I'm leaving. Because you said you had a dog. You didn't say you had a dog and 20 roaches, right? Like, I'm going somewhere else. I might come in and feed the dog for 2 days, but you got to get back here, right? Like, people don't want to be in that position. Humans do not want you to abandon their dog because they have 20 roaches and didn't tell you about the roaches. Another good thing is that a lot of house sitters show up ahead of time. So they show up and check out the house while the family is still there, right? So if you show up, and this is not the light switches aren't clean situation, but like we're talking specifically pests. If you show up and there's like a house of horrors, I would be like, y'all, when is the pest person coming before you leave? And if they're not coming, who is taking over? Because I'm not staying here. Now, I don't know, but that would be the advice Stephanie would give. But you said one dog. You ain't say a dog and 20 roaches. So I also don't feel like those are the people who are going to, like, if your house was overrun by roaches, would you be inviting other people into your home? No, you'd probably take your dog to a border. Right? You'd probably take your dog out instead of having someone come in. But also, I would not stay. I would feel like, if I can see them while I'm here before you leave, and your response to them is like, eh. And I had no idea in reading the review. Like if I didn't read between the lines on the review, maybe I take the L if it's livable, right? But if there was nothing in the reviews, no hint of anything, but I'm not a house sitter. I'm just a girl in the world. All right. Friends, I'm getting out of here because I am not packed for my trip. And I have 47 things to do for the rest of the day. Community YouTube membership, we are not meeting today because I did not have my stuff together. But I love y'all all the same. We'll meet probably next week. Yeah. I won't see you guys before Christmas. So have a lovely, lovely Christmas. I hope this holiday season, whatever you're celebrating, brings you everything you've ever wanted. And if not, at least one thing you really want, right? If it's not everything, at least one thing. So what use your time this week, if you get time off from work, to chill. We're not doing big things. We're not having frantic energy in our worlds. We are going to just chill, put your good energy into the world, and I will see you guys next week where I'm talking to Alana Black, I think is next week. I think that'd be a good way to end the year. So thank you guys. I am headed to Guatape today, and I'm looking forward to it. I love solo traveling for the holidays. And I hope whatever you're doing for whatever you celebrate or do not celebrate, if you have some days to yourself, or with people you love, you are really, really enjoying the time. So until next time, talk to you later. Bye.